Welcome to Anatomy with Dr. P. In today's lesson, we're going to do a small comparison between fetal and adult circulation. In a fetus, if we think about where the oxygen is coming from, it's not from the fetus breathing the way we would. Instead, in fetal circulation, oxygen is supplied via the placenta through the umbilical cord. So our mom is doing all of the breathing for us. As a result, the fetus's lungs don't need to work to oxygenate the blood in the same way an adult's do. So, sending blood out to the lungs doesn't really serve a purpose in fetal circulation. As such, what we see in the fetal heart are two very important shunts. The first is this shunt, which we can see illustrated by this little red pipe cleaner. This is an oval-shaped hole that sits between the right atria and the left atria. It's called the Foramen Ovale. Remember, the word foramen means hole, ovale means oval. And the Foramen Ovale allows oxygenated blood coming in through our umbilical cord and up through our inferior vena cava. As that oxygenated blood enters into the right atrium, it can simply skip over into the left atrium. And the reason we want to do that, remember, the right side of the heart is pumping blood to the lungs to pick up oxygen and back. This blood has already been oxygenated, so there's no reason to send it through the right circuit of the heart. Instead, we can just get it directly over onto the left side so we can pump it out into the remainder of the body. Connecting our pulmonary trunk up to our aorta, we have a very small passageway which isn't really shown on this model. It's known as the Ductus Arteriosus. It serves the same purpose. It's going to allow blood to travel from the pulmonary trunk directly into the aorta so we can bypass the trip to the lungs. Now, if we compare our fetal model to an adult heart, we can see a couple of important differences. On the adult heart, if I look in the right and left atria, I can see this very large oval-shaped depression. Here it is from the right atrium, and if I look into the left atrium, I can see it here as well. This structure is known as the Fossa Ovalis. Fossa means depression, ovalis means oval-shaped. This oval-shaped depression is what we get when our foramen ovale closes. When you take your first breath after being born, that oval-shaped hole closes and then eventually fuses together to form this fossa ovalis. So you can think of this as a remnant from fetal circulation. Our second structure that we can see is where the former ductus arteriosus was. So here is our pulmonary trunk, here is our aortic arch, and we can see connecting the two, this little ligament. This is the Ligamentum Arteriosum. That's the remnants of that ductus arteriosus that allowed blood to flow from the pulmonary trunk into the aortic arch.